there is
live stream.
Okay. Good evening and welcome for today's IELTS masterclass. Okay, and we are going to be using the AirClinic app, aka the IELTS Master Key app, to explain. Okay, if you look here, you can see that we have different segments of the app. There's beginner's guide, there's listening, there's reading, there's writing, and there's speaking. So for you to pass your IELTS, you need to get a very good grade. For example, for medical doctors, you have to get up to 7.5. Okay, 7.5 general score. That's average score, the total score of everything, average score of everything. All right, but at least the minimum you can get in each one is 7.0. But when you sum everything up, or when you average everything, it should be up to 7.5. That's for medical doctors that want to go abroad. All right, that want to go to UK. Okay, so that means you have to take all aspects of the exam very seriously. Listening, reading, writing, speaking has to be taken seriously, because any aspect that you fail may make you retake the exam again. So we're going to be talking about, today we'll focus on writing, because first of all, the listening aspects of the exam is very straightforward. Okay, they're very formulaic. Listening and reading. Okay, speaking is even the simplest because it's very easy. All you just need to do is to be talking, right? But we'll still talk about the strategies later on, right? But for now, we want to focus on actually getting you to be a very good writer, all right? And because the writing may take some time, or may take a short while for you to practice that if you are very consistent with it. But the other ones, once you are practicing, you are good. But the writing, you need to get the basics. That's why I want to start with writing. All right. So for the writing tasks, there are two different tasks. One is task one, writing task one, and second one is writing task two. Okay. So in the app, we try to place the two different tasks side by side, right? So there's topics for writing task one, there's topics for writing task two. So you are expected to actually look at the examples from here and then attempt to, practice the tasks by yourself, attempt to solve, attempt to write by yourself and prepare the answers. And also through the app, we have a mechanism where you can submit your writing scores, all right, to examiners, and they can look at it and actually grade you, okay, or look at it and give you corrections, say do this, write it this way, write it that way. But first of all, before you start writing, you need to have the basic understanding of what you are going in for, okay. On your own, you can go ahead and watch these videos, okay. We have some videos here, like 7 ways to get your writing, improve your writing, all right? And some other videos are there. They're all tips that will help you to be a better writer. And I need you to go through them personally, go through them, understand the concepts, what the speakers are trying to say, right? When you have that at the back of your mind, before you now get into the writing task, it makes you a better writer generally, okay? And for the writing task, let's start with writing task one. And writing task one usually is a chart or a graph of some sort. Maybe it may be a bar chart, maybe tables, it may be maps, it may be a pie chart, it may be percentages, it may be a process, but usually it's a diagram. Okay, it's a diagram that has a topic on top of it, and you are expected to change the contents of that diagram into words. All right, you're converting the picture, the pictorial, the diagram to words. That's essentially what summary of what you're trying to do or what you're trying to achieve with IELTS writing task one. All right, so let's use the bar chart as an example. Okay, so in this situation, this scenario, this IELTS writing task, the sample given here was actually solved by an IELTS examiner. So the formula that is given here is what you should use for all sorts of your writing tasks. Okay, for writing task one, the formula given here is what you should use over and over for any type of writing task one that you get, whether it's a pie chart, whether it's a bar chart, whether it's a table, whether it's a process, whether it's a map. All right, you go through this process and you should be fine because it will make you cover the basis, say the things you need to say in a very organized manner and very short and sweet. Okay, and I think in less than 250 words, they expect you to say what you need to say and you're done. All right. So bar chart, IES writing task one sample answer. This one says bar chart which shows production and consumption of electricity. Okay, this was done in Cambridge 2013. The bar chart top shows the top 10 countries for production and consumption of electricity in 2014. So you are expected to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So now the keywords, summarize the information, summarize. Always have that at the back of your mind. They're asking you to summarize the information, all right, by doing what? By selecting. That's another keyword. Selecting. You have to pick each of these one by one. You are selecting and reporting. You're not just selecting, but you are reporting the main features. You're not supposed to say every single thing, but the main features, the obvious things, you must say them. Okay, the obvious things. Because as I'm looking at this graph, there's already something that is very obvious because you can see obviously that the number one here is China for country by electricity production. You always use the key by electricity production, which is the dark one. China is the top. By electricity consumption, China is also the top. Okay, the first two, China and US. This is the obvious thing that is looking at you. So you are going to report the main feature. Okay, and the other keyword that they give you is make comparisons where relevant. Okay, so you are not just expected to be selecting and reporting, but you're also expected to make comparisons. Okay, you're expected to compare and contrast. So when you're mentioning China, you should mention United States, compare them. When you're mentioning Russia, for example, you should mention Japan, compare them. When you're mentioning India, for example, you should mention Canada, compare them. Or you can even compare these last four, okay, like France, Brazil, Germany, Korea, compare them, okay, because they all have similar, you can see they're almost like the same size, okay. So you compare them and that helps you to be able to have a general overview. Now, for the formula, okay, every sentence has something you are expected to say in the sentence. Every sentence, every single sentence you want to drop has something you are expected to say. Okay. So now the task, look at this is the one written by Dave now. This is the example given by Dave. Let me read it for you. Right. It says the chart illustrates electricity consumption and production in the top 10 highest countries in 2014. It is clear from the chart that all countries, with the exception of Germany, produce marginally more than they consume. That it's obvious. Okay, all countries produce marginally. Okay, they produce marginally more than they consume, except Germany. Look at it. It's only Germany that consumes more than they produce. All right. Who knows where they are getting the extra electricity they are using? Probably they are importing it. Okay, they are getting it from some other places, but they are consuming more than they produce. It's only Germany among these first 10 countries. Every other person consumes and produces slightly more, marginally more than they consume. So this writer has already stated it as a general overview. Okay. Then another general overview said the two top countries, the United States and particularly China, were strong outliers, while the remaining countries had similar numbers and lagged far behind in both production and consumption. All right. So I'm not going to be reading everything exactly, but I read that first paragraph. Okay. And you can see in one, two, three paragraphs, he was already done. Okay, it's done with the write-up. And if you count this, I'm sure you get more than 250 words. So just three paragraphs. The first one was basically introduction. Okay. Second one, he went to the meat of the matter. The third one, he concluded. Okay. He discussed all, compared everything that needs to be compared, and then he concluded. Okay. So now let's look at the sample and answer analysis. All right. each of the sentences that he makes, he has a reason for making them. All right. So let's look at the first sentence. Okay. The first sentence, the one where he says, the chart illustrates electricity consumption and production in the top 10 highest countries in 2014. That's the first sentence. And the first sentence simply paraphrases the topic. Okay. So all you just need to do, you are just rewriting what they wrote as the topic. Look at the topic here. Look at the topic. They already told you what your first sentence should be. They say the bar chart below shows the top 10 countries for the production and consumption of electricity in 2014. This is the first top. This is a topic that you're asked to write on. So this something that paraphrases this should be your first sentence, right? So after the first sentence, the next sentence should be about having a general overview. All right. So they now said this is remember that part of the question, after giving you the topic, they gave you a question. Part of the question said summarize the information. So they say that second sentence is the most important sentence in your whole write-up, because that is the sentence that actually summarizes the information. That is the general overview of what you are supposed to do in this particular task. All right, summarize the information. That was the instruction that was given to you, and is in the second sentence that you're actually going to summarize the information. Look at it. The second sentence, he said, it is clear from the chart that all countries, with the exception of Germany, produce marginally more than they consume. That's the summary of every information on this entire graph. Okay. Now, part of the summary again is also stating what is already obvious. All right. What is the most obvious thing? It's part of the general overview, and it's also part of the summary. Okay. The top two countries are United States and particularly China. We are strong outliers, while the remaining countries had similar numbers and lagged far behind in both production and consumption. This is another general overview. So this guy had two sentences dedicated to making summary. And with this, when the examiner reads these two sentences, he knows at least you have answered the first part of the question. Because the first part of the question clearly stated that you should summarize the information. Okay? Summarize the information. That's in the first paragraph, you have already captured the examiner's heart because you have stated the summary of the information. Okay. Any other thing apart from that is you're just shooting shots anyhow. You're just misfiring. All right. The right thing to do is paraphrase the topic sentence, and the next sentence should be about generally overviewing the topic. Okay. Make a general summary of everything you are seeing on the graph. And the third sentence, you seal the deal. All right. And you go into the next paragraph now. So let's look at the next paragraph. Okay. The next paragraph, he now stated, okay, China produced and consumed the most at this. So now he's zooming in. He's zooming in, obeying the second part of the instruction that said you should now select and compare. Okay, select, compare. So he's now doing that. He said China produced and consumed the most at 5.398 billion, okay, and so kilowatts respectively, produced and consumed. And another important thing is for you to vary your sentences. So it said China produced and consumed the most at this, and this respectively. Okay. The next nearest country in terms of both statistics was the United States. He wrote it clearly, where residents consumed this an hour and produced slightly more at this. Okay. So like in these first two sentences, he has summarized both China and the United States, and he also compared them because he now said the next way he compared them is by saying the next nearest country. So by the time you are stating this, you are comparing China and US. Okay, the statistics was the United States. So this is how he compared. He did the comparison. All right. So you have to have that in mind when you are doing the work. You have to compare. It's not just to state. You have to compare. Okay. Then compare. So that's the one I've already explained. I then compare the United States and conclude the paragraph. Okay. So you should group everything together. Don't state one thing alone. The instruction is for you to select and compare. Okay, so when any data that you pick, look for another data that is similar to it and compare the two of them. All right, don't just state one data. And this is the same pattern. They are going to ask you questions over the years. This is the same pattern. This is the same pattern. This is the same pattern. So you have to follow the formula. All right. Then he went ahead to state by the third part. This is like the third paragraph now. He's now saying Russia led the rest of the nations. Okay, Russia led the rest of the nations with this. Now he's already comparing the rest of the nations. So after China and United States, the rest of the nations, he's already putting Russia at the top of the rest of the nations. So that's how it is, even on the graph. Look here, okay, you can see China and US right there at the very top. Now the rest of the nations, Russia, blah 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 blah, up to Korea Republic. Okay, you can see Russia is number 3. So you now say among the rest of the nations, Russia is right there at the top. Okay, so that's how he said Russia led the rest of the nations with, he stated the number, okay, 1,057 in production and 1,038 in consumption, followed by Japan. You see that comparison again. He's not just stating the obvious, he's also comparing Russia with, he compared India and Canada. So he now said India and Canada ranked 5th and 6th, with India producing this, consuming this, while Canada was slightly lower with this and this. So like he's varying his sentences, he's comparing and contrasting, he's selecting. All right. In the 7th and 8th spots, that is, the 7th and 8th spots, we have France producing this and that. Okay, sometimes you put things in brackets, sometimes you state it straight away. Okay, and Brazil. So in the 7th and 8th spots, we have France and Brazil, which recorded numbers, blah 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 blah, and respectively. Okay, so in the final 2 positions, now this is end game. He's going for the end game. Okay, in the final 2 positions, we have Germany and the Republic of Korea, with Germany having higher production than Korea, as well as consumption. All right, those are so kilowatts compared with 499. Full stop. That is the end of the essay. He's done. So this is very, very straightforward. Once you know the formula, once you have the formula, you use it. And the formula follows the instruction. The formula follows the instruction of the exam. The instruction of the examiner said you must summarize. That's the first instruction. So you're gonna use your first paragraph to summarize. Always do that, because that's like the bulk of the exam. Once you summarize, it means you are gonna pass the exam. That's how I feel. Okay. So you must summarize. The next sentence, you are going to be hitting it hard. Okay. The first sentence, you are just gonna state, paraphrase the topic sentence, say it in another way. Okay, that's the first sentence in the first paragraph. Then the next sentence in the first paragraph, you're going to be summarizing. You're going to look at the whole graph. You're going to look at the whole diagram, the whole pictorial, state the obvious, the most obvious thing that your eyes can see. The summary of everything that you are seeing should be stated immediately. Okay, that way everybody knows what this whole graph is saying, the summary. Before they used to tell you, okay, start with this. You are kind of trying to form a pyramid. Okay, you start at the tip, you're building it, building, then in the end you conclude. But nobody has time for that. We are in the modern age, we are in the jet. Is it jet age? What are we in now? Which age are we in now? Very, very fast. Internet age, very fast. Everybody has low attention span, including your examiner. So they want to see the answer straight. Give it to them straight, immediately. You understand? So, like, once you get there, give them the summary immediately. So the next sentence after the topic sentence should be about the summary. Then the third one, the third sentence in the first paragraph should also be like a summary too. Okay, another obvious thing, another general overview that you can see from the graph, that once a blind man looks at it, he will see that same thing that you are seeing. Right, it's just the next paragraph. That's the second paragraph now. This is when you now start zooming in. Okay, start zooming in. This is where you're now obeying the second instruction, the second part of the question, which says you should select compare and contrast. Okay, so always select each of those things on the graph. Okay, for example, here in the bar chart, you have different. You have always look at the key. There's consumption, there's production. Okay, so you select. There are different countries, like 10 different countries there. So you select each of those countries. You can go country by country. You select each one. You compare China with US. You compare Russia with Germany. Okay, just things like that. You keep going until you hit the end. And once you're done, stop and drop the pen. You don't need to say more. You don't need to say, in conclusion, I have summarized. No, you have stated it in the first place. You don't have to say, in conclusion, I have summarized, compared and contrasted the. You are just adding more words that don't mean anything. So once you are done, put your full stop and close the writing task one. You are done. You actually have 20 minutes to write this task. So you need to be very, very focused. You need to have practiced it over and over and over again. Work on your speed, work on your direction, work on your tone, work on your words. Your sentences should be clean and clear. No space for cancellation, no space for errors. Just write what you need to write. You're seeing it on the graph. Change your pictures to words. That's all you need to do. Drop your pen and you are done. All right. So I believe with that, when you apply it over and over and over and over again, you should be able to write better sentences for writing task one when it comes to IELTS. Okay, so apart from these ones that are examples, the same thing applies for percentages, tables, maps, process, no matter the type of writing task one that you get, same thing, the same formula needs to be applied. And once you apply it, you are good to go. Okay, so give a list of topics for you to write on. Okay, now here are our recommendations. Practice writing about a graph in 150 words. Okay, actually 150 words is the goal. Okay, within 15 to 20 minutes in 150 words under test conditions. So you have to put yourself in the test condition, yourself in the mood for exam. All right. So now when you do this, this is your ability. All right. So now check yourself by underlining the vocabulary, grammar, data. Okay. You check yourself over and over again, improve. And we're also here to help you. All right. We also have people too that can help to make sure that as we look at your essays, we tell you this is too long, this is too short, this is what you do, your sentences are too many, you are not making any sense, you are going off the topic, okay? And when you learn how to write properly with this, all right, even your speaking will be better because your speaking will be more organized. If they ask you, because part of the speaking also has two parts, apart from the introductory part, it has like three parts. From the introductory part, there's like a random topic you are going to pick, and when you pick that topic, you have to be able to talk about it. So part of being organized in your head is that mentally you already know, I'm going to introduce this topic. I'm going to restate the topic to them. Okay, you asked me to say so, I'm going to restate the topic to them. And you are going to state the general broad overview. In general, I think this is this, but this and this and okay. Firstly, this is why I think this is this. Firstly, this. Secondly, this is it. All right. In conclusion, all right. So, like, even in your speaking, you have that at the back of your head when you are organized like this for your writing. So that's how you should go about it. So under this list, you will find lists from 2020. A lot of questions. There are graphs, there are charts, there are maps, there are processes. Okay. So you'll see examples to work with. They are like past questions, real past questions that were solved, and we'll even give you the date. This was reported on September 15th of 2020. Okay, this one is a table. All right, the table. This one was reported in. This one was written in August 2027. Okay, written in August 16th. So different tables, charts, line graph, and pie charts, tables, line graph, pie chart, table. Okay, so this one now is like a map, a mini map. Okay, the process, IELTS process diagram, drinking water reported on May 31st of 2020. So while the pandemic was ongoing, people were busy writing their exams. So that's how it is. Okay, if you're able to start practicing with all these topics that are here, you become a better writer, a much better writer by time. So because Generally, IELTS is about practice. Okay, once you practice over and over and over and over again, you get good with it. Okay, you get good with it. About getting to know the modality of the exam. All right. So thank you for listening a lot with you today. And